Hi guys, welcome back to another ITH video where today I'm driving one of the fastest Ferraris in the rain. Bollocks. So here we are on a lovely autumn's day here in Surrey in the UK, and this is my toy for the next few days and I'm really looking forward to driving it. We'll get behind the wheel a little bit later. The 812 is obviously the successor to the F12, and there's a lot different actually. The general shape of the car is pretty much the same, but there's a few more aero bits, and I love these vents at the front. I think they're absolutely stunning, and they are all there for an exact reason. The air can channel through here. This is actually for engine ventilation, but this front one comes through here underneath the wheel arch, then goes out through the side and straight up down the side of the car. It is stunning the way this all works. There is no active aero on the front of this, unlike the F12. The F12 had those little flaps that open and close. This doesn't have any. It's already basically designed with aero in mind, and everything on full attack mode is quite scary. This has quite possibly one of the best engines you can ever put in a car in the entire world. We'll talk about the engine and the whopping great V12, normally aspirated engine, that's in this in a minute. It has huge forged 20-inch alloy wheels that obviously surround the incredible carbon ceramic brakes with loads of stopping power. As we come down the car, there's a few different options you can get actually on the 812. This has the badges on the side, which look fantastic. You can also get them painted on, which is rather an expensive option, I believe. And as I said, the air can channel all the way down the car, and just these lines are absolutely beautiful. This has been spec'd with carbon wing mirrors, which look lovely. And as we come down the car, more aero, so the aerodynamics can then go down through here. I believe there's even a vent underneath here and out through the back as well, onto the back of the car, which for me is one of the best bits. It is just amazing. These lights are just typical Ferrari now of 2019, and it looks stunning, absolutely stunning. What's quite cool is that there's even more aero at the back. There's no active spoiler, so this is just what it gets. But what it does is it can hold air just underneath the rear windscreen here, and then basically it shoots it up over the back to give it maximum downforce, which I think is quite cool. Ferrari have worked very, very hard on the aerodynamics of this. And I just think it's stunning. It's got 4 huge bloody great exhaust pipes on the back of it, which sound incredible. Obviously it's a normally aspirated V12 engine, so it sounds insane. And also there's a few different options for the exhaust tips as well. So if you did want to buy one, and they're rather expensive, which we'll talk about the price a little bit later, you can either get them, I think they come in like brushed aluminium. You can also get them in black, which they've got here, and there's a couple of different options there as well. Talking of the active aero, there is, as I said, none on the front. There is, however, 3 flaps on the back, 1 in the middle and 2 either side. It's their DRS system, which actually will show up on the dashboard when it's active and it's doing something. So, and it works basically at any speed. So you could be doing 30 miles an hour and it'll just adjust things depending on your throttle position and, you know, how you're going to be driving the car. It'll just move things around just to make sure that you've got, you know, the best kind of performance that you can get from it and the best aerodynamics. Now, being that it's a GT car, it's actually got loads of room. Let's look in the boot. So 2 ways of opening the boot. One is on the key. The other is on this button on the driver's door there. Come around, lift the whole of the rear boot lid, and you get a really great space. As you can see, we've got loads of bags in here and there's plenty of room. What's quite cool is, though, its a little party trick, is that you can take this out and push that down and you get the whole of the back of the floor pan to play with, which is amazing. There's so much room. You can literally just go and do any road trip you want. Right, let's get into this car, because this is really where you want to be, not on the outside, sitting in the driver's seat. Now, there's a reason why I love Ferraris, and that is because they all have this personality, which is just absolutely fantastic when you get to drive them. And as soon as you get in one, you just know you're part of what I would call an event, and this is exactly that. You've got the new style Ferrari steering wheel, which is kind of a little bit skinnier than it used to be. You've still got the flat bottom, and you've got the indicators on the side of the wheel now as well. You've got the Manatino, which goes from wet, which I've used quite a lot today, sport, race, CT off, and if you're really ballsy, you've also got ESC off there as well if you want it, which today probably not going to be happening. What's really cool is that they have basically taken the F12 design and they've just ramped it up a gear. So you've got these incredibly cool turbine fans that you'd find on quite a lot of the other models of Ferraris, which I think are stunning. You've got the 2 screens in front of you with the central rev counter, which is just cool. And yes, it does rev to near enough 9,000 RPM in a V12. It sounds unreal. Center console here, you've got reverse, auto, launch. Again, probably won't be using the launch today. Your hazards, and then your window controls here. This down here is a little place where you put the all-important Ferrari key, and you've got a little bit of storage there. As I said, loads of storage behind you, a little bit in the bins here, and if you want to open the glove box, you hit the old open button here, and then, of course, you've got all the room you could possibly need in a glove box. Now, just before we take it for a drive, A, we're going to hear how it sounds, and B, I need to tell you about these seats because they are a love-hate thing for me. They look stunning, but sometimes after a bit of driving, they can become a little bit uncomfortable. They do have a bit of adjustment, but not quite as much in the lumbar support as I'd like. But when you're in a car that's got near enough 800 horsepower, why does it matter? Right, let's hear how it sounds. So that engine then, let's start with that because that is what powers the 812 Superfast, and we'll come on to its name in a second. It is a whopping great V12 engine that is 6.5 litres. So as you can imagine, on a day like today, it's a little bit squirrely, I suppose, is one of the words that you could describe it. A little bit bum clinching. Even though it's called the 812 Superfast, it's actually got 789 horsepower. And you can feel pretty much every single one of those horses when you drive it. It's rather savage. Weirdly though, if you stick it in wet mode and you just drive sensibly, it could be dailied. I'm going to get shouted at for saying that, but I reckon you could daily an 812 Superfast. 0 to 60 is 2.8 seconds. It's fast if you can get that power down. And of course, the sound of that V12 is just mesmerizing. It's so good. Unfortunately, I can't rev it all the way out to its red line, which is 8,900 RPM. I mean, I know GT3, which will rev to 9, and this engine just sounds, well, it sounds incredible, even though my car's got an exhaust. I have always been a huge fan of Ferrari as a brand, and every single car they make, I seem to fall in love with, even some of their newer turbo cars. But this, being a normally aspirated car, still for me is what Ferrari's about, and I love it. The gearing this is unbelievable. They've managed to make it 40% faster than the original F12. I mean, we're in 4th gear now. 4th, 3, 2, 1, there you go. It's so quick, and it just, even though, we can go through a little bit of a tunnel. It puts a big smile on my face. I swear Ferrari, and maybe my GT3 with an exhaust, puts a huge smile on my face. It's just such a shame it's wet. I just want to really put my foot down and I can't because it's dangerous is what it is. It's seriously dangerous. Now there's a few different modes to make this car even easier to drive. So if you've got it in anything higher than wet, so sport for instance, you can push the bumpy road mode, and that does actually make it a lot nicer on the suspension. It's just very calm, very civilized. It's not too back-braking. I did mention though, obviously the seats in this, they can be a little bit hard on longer journeys, but I haven't really experienced too much so far. It's been pretty pleasant. So unfortunately, no real hard pushing of the 812 and no real launch controls, because in this weather it's basically pointless. It has stopped raining, which is nice, but the ground is soaking wet. So unfortunately, not quite the weather I wanted to drive this, but I did want to show you what it was kind of like, just as a kind of an everyday car really. You got all the room in the back. The power, weirdly, even with near enough 800 horsepower, is pretty usable. Like, I've been driving it around with the bumpy mode on in sport, and it's great. It's really, really good. There's basically power on tap whenever you want it, even if you're in 7th gear. So thoughts on this? Could you daily it? Well, if you're a multi-millionaire, I mean, the car, this, as it comes with the spec, is £350,000. So rather a lot of money. But yeah, you could. If you really wanted to, you could daily it. It's a GT car, so you could easily go down to the south of France. The bucket seats in this, a little bit uncomfortable, I think, probably if you're going to be driving it a long way, but you soon get over that for the fact of that V12 sound. It sounds unreal. Ferrari still for me are one of the best sounding cars, and as I mentioned before, you know, my GT3's got an exhaust on. This still sounds better. It's undescribable how good it is. Guys, thank you so much for watching another video of ours. Hopefully we'll be back soon with more content. Bye for now.